I'm Valerie Inez Rodriguez. I draw people. I don't exaggerate what I see.
I used to do live painting in Santa Ana, California for the Santa Ana Art Walk. And it was just trial and error. I was just trying to figure out what I could do to make some money doing art. And I just decided one day to try live portrait sketches. There was the art walk area, right, in their little plaza. I just kind of showed up on the sidewalk and I taped some of my drawings up on the wall, and then I just taped up a sign that said live portraits $10, and people just started coming and I just started drawing them. But before that, I had taken figure drawing classes at Cal State Fullerton. I enjoyed it, and I'm not trying to brag or anything, but my drawings stood out in the class. It's a weird thing because, like, me myself, I never would have thought that it was anything special. It's just people say, "Oh wow, that's really good," and it's people, but that give you the feedback and that make you realize, like, oh, okay, maybe this is something special that I should pursue. Yeah, I just had the idea one day to try it, and it went well. And the lady over the Santa Ana Art Walk at the time, Yenny, fucking awesome, love Yenny. She saw me and she just let me do my thing. She didn't pester me, she didn't permit patty me, she let me do my thing. And that gave me the opportunity to make some mistakes, and to just trial and error figure out how to do it. The only way that I know how to explain it is the way that I explain it to my students, is that when the way your brain perceives faces and people is different from the way you perceive everything else in the world. Your brain is wired to pick up on certain features and exaggerate them in people in order to make them more easily recognizable, in order for you to pick up on their feelings, pick up on their emotions, but at the same time, that exaggeration is an illusion, and people don't realize that. So that usually when you try to draw a face, it comes out looking kind of wonky because you're drawing the exaggerations instead of drawing what's actually there. And so what I do is I override that part of my brain that interprets, and I try to look at the person as a whole, and just lights, shadows, angles, lines, and I only try to draw that. And it's not until the drawing is finished that I see it and I can see some kind of emotion or personality coming through in the person. All the time. There's been, this older couple because I usually sketch couples one person at a time, but I'll draw them next to each other. And this one couple, I had one was sitting in the chair that I was sketching, the other one was standing behind me, but the one in the chair just had this really loving look when they were looking at the person behind me, and same vice versa when it was the other person's turn, and it really came through in the drawing. It depends. Some people, because especially at a place like the rail yards where there's a lot of foot traffic, when people are sitting for a portrait, a lot of times they get a lot of attention from people walking by, and everybody reacts differently. I mean, some people they like it and they smile. Some people, they're not used to it, and so they look uncomfortable. One woman, I remember, she started getting angry and she said, "Why is everybody staring at me?" Oh yeah, I forgot, I'm getting a portrait done. I got the impression that maybe she, got a lot of negative attention. Maybe had to beat some people up when she was a kid or something. I don't know, because she was pretty out there, pretty aggressive. So it's different when you're doing a live sketch as opposed to when you're doing, or when I'm doing a portrait commission, which is from a photo. The commissions from photos are more photorealistic than the portrait sketches. So with the portrait sketch, it's kind of a time limit. It's time-based, especially with people, because a lot of times at events, they're there to have fun. They're not there to sit there for 2 hours to get their portrait drawn. And so it has to be good enough. Like, it has to have the basics. Like, I try to go for nice smooth lines. That helps make things look more complete. I used to do a lot more value, a lot more shading on the live portraits. I've cut back on that because I've realized that it's not as necessary, and it's more time consuming, and sometimes you go into shade and it ends up making it look worse. And so just through trial and error, I've developed my own technique that can be done quickly, and that'll make it look like a complete drawing. Drawing a face is not the same as drawing an orange or drawing a tiger. You know, I can mess up here and there when I draw a tiger and it still looks like a tiger. You can't mess up here and there when you're drawing a hand or a wrist, because your brain is wired to pick up on that and read it as a deformity, or as the person is sick, or there's something wrong with them. So, and it's kind of weird, because at the same time, because I'm a teacher, I have a really hard time telling my students apart. They all look the same to me, and it takes me forever to learn their names. And sometimes I mix them up, and it's really embarrassing. But I think it's because I've trained myself to override that part of my visual perception that tells people apart. The position that the iris and the pupil are in the eye, like how much of that circle that you can see, or how much of it gets cut off. Like, if you can see the whole circle, then that means that the person's going like this, so they're surprised. Or if you can see, you know, if it's cut in half, that means that the person is, you know, they have their eyelids half closed. That's a big one. The corners of the mouth are really important too. The tiniest little change in the corner of the mouth will make somebody look like they're smiling, or make them look sad. The angle of the eyelids too, the angle of the eyebrows. Those are probably the big ones. Oh, there's been a few. One of them, it was a picture that looked like it was from the 80s. And it looked like a young woman. She's smiling. She's got her arms around an older lady. Looked like, well, it was from the 80s, but the older lady, she had, her hair was, like the way she had like a perm in her hair, and she had like cat eye glasses. She looked like she grew up in the 50s or 60s, maybe 50s. I don't know. I could be wrong, but when I looked at that picture, I could tell that the girl had some really good childhood memories with the lady. Like, the lady took really good care of her. And
what made you come to that conclusion?
The way the girl was smiling with her arms around her, and you know, some like a phrase that came in my head. It was like the lady, she wiped the girl's butt when she was a baby. You could tell she took good care of her. And later on, I meet the the person at the rail yards who commissioned that photo, she was a vendor too. And she was there with her mom. And her mom said that the girl was her daughter and the older lady was her mother, and that they were both passed. When you take care of children, they remember when they're older. They're not babies forever. When you take good care of them, they get older, they remember how you treated them. How we perceive people visually, it goes toward, it's the same when we're talking about how we perceive ourselves. Like self-image is such a weird thing. It's a complete illusion. And because I've spent so much time studying portrait art, I think I understand that a little bit more than average people do. People just think, oh man, I just have a really big chin, and my belly fat will never go away, and people just exaggerate their bad features so much in their heads, and I try to accentuate their positives, the beautiful things about them, and I like it when people look at their portraits and it makes them see themselves differently. It makes them see themselves in a better light than the image of themselves that they have in their head. I don't know anybody else who does it exactly how I do it. I get the feeling, a little voice in my head is telling me that maybe that's going to change. There might be more people in the future, or maybe, some crazy talented kid will graduate high school and decide that they want to become a portrait artist, and then, dang it, I'm going to have competition. But it's actually a good thing though. I'm looking forward to the day when another portrait artist in Albuquerque appears. And then I'll have somebody to bounce off of and to push me to get even better.